The following program does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the staff, management, or ownership of this station.
The following pre-recorded program is brought to you by Vertuvian, a Texas-based registered investment advisor.
Now, let the uprising begin.
There are only two genders, and one of them is right here. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Hello once again. What is that? Oh, no. Corey, welcome. Oh, well, we're just going to go, guys, because I don't know if you can hear this weird voice thing in the background. Like, what is it the apocalypse? Hello once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. You're listening to the Angela Box Show, and there is some construction going on today, so I don't know if you'll hear it or not. We're just, the producer and I are looking at each other like, what the hell is going on here? Like, they're coming for us, Corey. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. Okay. Before we jump into all the nonsense of this week, I want to give a shout out to my fiance's company, who Vertuvian is the sponsor of the show. And I'm giving you this kind of overview because I feel like he deserves some major credit here. I am terrible with money. Like, math is not my thing. Science is not my thing. Finance is not my thing. Fred jokes. He's like, I can't even believe you haven't been eaten yet. Like, I don't know how you've, like, made it this far in life without being eaten. Like, your guess is as good as mine, honey. But when I met him, I was able to, he looked at my account that my father had given when he passed away. We all got a little bit of money. So I put it in this one person's care, and it was just kind of sitting there, and I wasn't, taking any dividends or anything. I was just like, I don't even watch it. I'm like, I trust you, whatever, it's fine. So he looked at it, and he was like, how much has this guy made you in 4 years? And I told him, he's like, what? He was like, dude, well, I can't. And he always prefaces this because he's a very moral person, and he's also he's very serious about his job. Like, he doesn't take it lightly. And he goes, well, past performance is not indicative of future returns. He always has to preface that because it's true. He has to legally say that, and he did, and he said it to me. He's like, however, on average, between 30 and 50% a year. I was like, what? What? Wait. Hold up. What are you talking about? And he was like, yeah. And he basically, so I sent my account to him. And this year, you guys, like so far, 30%. 30%, I'm able to, not have a regular jobby job. And I was able to hire a social media company and pay all my bills through the dividends. And my principal money is not being touched. It's still making money. Like, I don't know how he does it. He has a lizard brain. I don't understand these people. But he's like, he's like a master of the universe type. I've joked around. I'm like, he and I are very similar, except for the introverted, extroverted part. And what he is really good at, I could never do. And what I'm really good at, he could never do. But I wanted to give the phone number because I'm telling you, just call him. Call him to talk and say, okay, I heard you on Angela's show. What's up? What can we do together? Let me give you the number. I'm going to give it to you twice. So get your pens out. 832-208-5019 for a free consultation. That is 832-208-5019. Vertuvian. And the thing that's great about Fred's company, Vertuvian, he's like the antithesis of Wolf of Wall Street. He's a very devout Christian, and not in a preachy way. He's just a very good man. He's a moral man, and he is a very good steward of people's money. And I would highly recommend checking out Vertuvian. Okay, let's get to some stuff because I probably in the third segment we're going to do the Hunter Biden pardon, and Kash Patel in the fourth segment because I want to take two dedicated segments for those things. But before we get to that, I feel like that the Hollywood and the media, it's like they're slowly but surely figuring out that the woke nonsense is done. However, they've created some content over the last couple of years that is just starting to come out that is so insufferable and so ridiculous that it bears discussing. And then I'm going to give you an antidote to that, which is this fantastic, giving you a little spoiler alert, this fantastic ad that Apple just put out. I mean, I was an advertising major, so I love good advertising. And I'm telling you, this was good. And I will get to that at the end of the segment. But here's something they created in the last couple of years that, before the American people rose up and were like, we are so done. We are so done with this nonsense. Stop it. So this movie Wicked has been released. Okay. Now, if you're a kid or a person that follows any kind of social media stuff, you've probably seen the press junkets with the stars of this thing called, her name, Ariana Grande, who, by the way, you want to talk about someone who needs to lay off the plastic surgery, that little Tinkerbell needs to, that little pocket person, Ariana Grande. She looks nothing like she used to when she was a teenager. Literally nothing. Her face is, it's like a Kylie Jenner situation. Her face is completely changed. Anyway, she's in this movie, and then this British actress named Cynthia Erivo's in this movie. And I've seen Cynthia Erivo in a few things before, and I thought she was really good. Like, I think she's a strong actress. I think she's got a fantastic voice. I think she's a pretty lady. She's got an interesting look. But, oh, you guys, the press tour for this thing, Ariana Grande and her, are so insufferably, self-congratulatory and arrogant and, crying. They're, crying on these. It's like, what is happening here? And the movie itself, I always go on IMDb and I'm like, okay, let me look at the ones and the twos. Because if you know something's going to be woke, if you know something's going to be annoying, if you know for a fact that they were already doing things doing too much, Cynthia Erivo is, Ariana Grande's bad enough, but this Cynthia Erivo chick is next level. She's as a queer, and she's English, as a queer black woman, I don't think anybody could have even remotely done this role like I've done, love. And, frankly, any white people that think they could even remotely try and do this, well, you're racist. I mean, she's bad. And she's her whole thing is, I'm a queer black woman. Okay, fine, whatever. I don't care. Just sing well and act well. That's all I ask when I'm seeing a movie. I don't need to know about your backstory and your identity, all right? You're literally a court gesture. And I hope that we reach a point in our culture where actors are seen as simply people to entertain us. The people that really make the world go round are not actors and actresses, all right? They're the low people on the totem pole in the entertainment industry as far as I'm concerned. They don't really make the production go. I mean, obviously they need a good acting to sell the product. I'm not saying that they don't have a role. But I'm saying it's stop putting these people on a pedestal. They're dumb. These people are stupid. So the point is that the Wicked reviews, the ones and the twos, are exactly what I would think they were going to say. They're it's woke. The CGI is ridiculous. And anyone who listens to the show knows how much I hate CGI. I really hate CGI. I think it is lazy filmmaking. I think it is lazy storytelling. And they said that it's basically they sing the whole time. And they're not even that good. And the songs are just overwrought. And they're that crap. And, I used to be an actress, as you know, and I'm not a big musical theater person. Those people, let me tell you something. The musical theater people are the absolute worst. If you are stuck talking to someone that is a theater geek, run the other way as fast as you possibly can. They are so insulated in their little stupid theater bubble, and they think that people care about, musical theater. I saw Les Miserables years ago, 3 hours of my life I'll never get back. And no. Corey's giving me the wrap it up. In the next segment, we've got Tony Ortiz from Current Revolt. He's going to talk about something good that Ken Paxton is doing. Third segment, we'll get back to this, talk about the Hunter Biden stuff and the Kash Patel stuff and all the good stuff. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. Be right back.
Infuriating. The the far left, Democrats, socialists, and communists. It's Angela Box on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Welcome back to the Angela Box Show. On the line, I have my friend Tony Ortiz, who has a fantastic, and I mean fantastic, website called Current Revolt. And it's kind of a Texas-based red-pilled website that I highly recommend you check out. But I wanted to have him come on today because there's a couple of stories that I think are really interesting. The other day, Ken Paxton decided to sue Blackrock, and then there's also some weird hobo church that's distributing drugs in Austin, and he's suing them too. So welcome, Tony. Let's talk about it all.
Hey, Angela. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So let's talk about the Blackrock thing because, Blackrock is one of those organizations that has tried to fly under the radar for a long time. And Larry Fink, who's the head of Blackrock, is like just wigging out that everyone's is figuring out what they're all about.
Yeah, I mean, BlackRock, everything that company touches kind of goes bad in the sense of it becomes really woke or DEI enabled, or in this case, there's this allegation that they're conspiring with other companies in order to raise energy costs. And so, Paxton's getting involved and he's suing them along with several other states. So I don't know if a lot of people reported this, but several other states have signed on in this suit: Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, West Virginia, Wyoming, which is phenomenal, right? And they've launched a suit against BlackRock and State Street Corporation and the Vanguard Group, alleging that they're conspiring to basically raise energy costs by limiting coal production, at least is what is my understanding.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Coal that gives us the electricity that they get to power their little electric vehicles with. They don't really think these things through, do they?
No, and it's great that somebody like Paxton and these other states are monitoring these sort of things to kind of keep these companies in check. You see this a lot in companies that their bottom line is to make their investors as much money as possible. And with BlackRock investing in a lot of other companies as well, it doesn't surprise me that they're maybe looking at their best interest in how the energy market affects their other investments.
I don't have a problem for companies trying to make money for their investors. Like, that's not the issue. The issue is the social engineering that is done by BlackRock and Vanguard and working hand in glove with the Human Rights Campaign, which is such an innocuous-sounding organization. But for those people who don't know, can you, explain what is the Human Rights Campaign?
Beats me. I'm not familiar with them as much. Is that something based here in Texas?
Oh, no. It's the Human Rights Campaign is a group that basically started, I believe, I could be wrong here, when gay marriage was on the table. And they pushed for that. And then, of course, it's the whole thing. We just want to get married. And then, of course, we see the push for the transing and the drag queens in front of kids and the porns in the schools. And basically Human Rights Campaign was the one that set up the DEI standards for all of these corporations.
Here's the thing. A lot of people don't talk about this. So whenever gay marriage and gay rights and stuff is put on the ballot, it doesn't necessarily perform as well as people think it would. You had a ballot initiative to legalize gay marriage in California years ago, and it failed overwhelmingly in California. So people don't, and on a personal level, I really don't care about gay marriage. It doesn't affect me necessarily. But people don't, when they're given the opportunity to vote in private and in secrecy and to cast their vote on something like this, they don't want it. And I think that organizations like Human Rights Campaigns and these other lefty orgs, 2024's this year's presidential election was a massive wake up call to these woke corporations that people are fed up with this stuff. The Democrats lost the Hispanic vote by a huge margin. They're losing the Asian vote. They're losing the Indian vote. They're not even the Muslim vote is going to Republicans, shockingly enough. And I think people are just fed up with this woke stuff, that being shoved in our faces constantly. You can't, you can't turn on the TV without some sort of ad in your face that's pushing this. Music's got it. Movies have it. Your advertisements in stores have it nonstop. And people are just fed up with it. And I think that the vote for Donald Trump to be president was kind of an answer from people about how they feel regarding this woke culture being shoved in our faces constantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely the emphatic period at the end of the sentence. Like, woke is done. Like, we're all done here. And it's great. But they're not, they're going to go kicking and screaming. They're not going to surrender and give up without a fight, which I hope they don't, because the more that this goes on and the more that they're exposed for being the hysterical, hyperbolic, lunatics that they are, it's just going to be better for the rest of us. Okay, let's jump to this hobo church in Austin. What is going on there? Of course, it's Austin.
Attorney General Ken Paxton has moved to shut down an Austin church, their homeless ministry, because what they're essentially doing is they're ruining the neighborhood in the area. It's really funny. If you look up the church, the reviews for the church are just out of control. A bunch of people in the area are complaining about the church, that people are leaving drugs, that there's homeless leaving pipes behind and syringes and garbage, and people are just unhappy with it, right? And so he's suing to shut them down, basically, because they're essentially using taxpayer funds to provide clean needles and access to things like that for their homeless constituency in the church. And obviously, this woke church isn't happy about it. But it's funny, if you look up this guy's Twitter account, and we've got it in our post, you can read it at currentrevolt.com. It's filled with a bunch of pro-communist stuff and pro-leftist ideology, woke stuff. And so, I love that the Attorney General is again keeping an eye on these sort of things, because it's essentially using, you have a church that's that's avoiding paying taxes and ruining the community around it.
Yeah, they avoid paying taxes and then they get to pay themselves salaries. So, I mean, talk about a grift. I mean, that's the thing. You want to start a church, and it's a great way for people to get paid without paying taxes.
Yeah, you do have a lot of these, especially the mega churches, that kind of get by with high salaries and tax write-offs and things like that. So, but yeah, it's nice to see the Attorney General kind of keeping an eye on this stuff too. You've seen a lot of this, a lot of these, especially Austin, but you see a lot in other states, in other cities like San Francisco and all that, where, these governments or these churches have decided that the best way to fight the drug epidemic and homelessness is to provide these people more drugs. And that's what they're doing here. And it doesn't make any sense, but I think there's this weird train of thought with liberals that they do all these things to make themselves feel better rather than to kind of make their community better. I think it's a lot more fulfilling for a homeless person that's struggling to be provided tools and training and teaching that hey, don't do drugs, and hey, let's find you work, hey, let's get you in shape, versus giving them more of the thing that's bringing them down. But it's a lot easier, right? It's a lot easier to just say, hey, I bought you a package of clean needles so you don't have to use the dirty ones while you shoot up your heroin. It's a lot easier to do that than it is to say, hey, let's stop the drugs, let's clean you up, let's get you trained to do something so that you can make a living and get back on your feet.
Yeah, hobo church. When you're polluting your body and your mind with substances, that's not really God's plan for any of us. And you would think that they would be, again, trying to encourage healthy behavior and getting off drugs and all those things, but they don't, because they need people, zombified leftists running around. That's just the bottom line. Tony, how can people follow what you're doing and find out more about Current Revolt?
Yeah, so we're a Texas-based media organization. We only report on Texas political news. You can find us at currentrevolt.com or on Twitter, X, just at Current Revolt.
Yeah, I had one of your correspondents on last week, and I'd love having you on, and we'll have you back because I think her Revolt's fantastic. So
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. You are listening to the Angela Box Show. We'll be right back.
You've tuned into the right place for conservatism. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
So basically, back to this wicked monstrosity, and then we're going to talk about the Snow White trailer, because that's getting savage too. They are like Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Again, if you want a good laugh, go find some of their interviews on this press tour. They take themselves so seriously, you guys. This is like they're the most theatery of theater kids you could ever possibly imagine. And they're just, they're acting like they split the atom or something. They're like, oh, you don't even understand how amazing this is. It's like the best thing ever. It's like, it looks terrible. Anyway, now, the Snow White thing. And again, Wicked was made, and they're like, oh, it took 3 years to make. I'm like, ugh. Well, I guess they had to come up with, 3 hours of CGI schlock. And evidently, this Wicked is Wicked Part 1. And, y'all, the stage play, which I've heard is fantastic. Again, I'm not a musical theater person, but if there's any current musical theater production I would see, it would be Wicked, because I heard it's really good. But they also don't sing the entire time. They talk. There's a story. They're like, the whole stage production is like 2.5 hours, okay? Well, evidently, the first installment of Wicked Part 1, they're like, you see this, like, oh God, they're going to do another one? It's like almost 3 hours long. I'm like, so is the like what? The whole run time of the musical is 2.5 hours. You're telling me that part 1's almost 3 hours? Like, oh, help me, Jesus. So anyway, it's insufferable. It looks terrible. Of course, the critics are like, it's amazing. Look, when the critics tell me that something's amazing, I know it's woke and insufferable, and I don't want to see it. Like, that's why I go to IMDb and look at the low reviews, because I know that they're going to be like, nope. Okay, so this Snow White thing that's coming out, for those of you who are not familiar, Disney, which is, hell-bent on wokeifying everything and putting porn in front of kids, like all the things they're doing. They took Snow White and made a live-action movie out of it. Okay, fine. Well, they cast this Hispanic girl, for some reason, as Snow White. And I mean, I know that, white people are evil and the scourge of all that is holy, and we should, get rid of them as fast as humanly possible. But the whole point of Snow White in the original Brothers Grimm and the original movie, I mean, she's a white girl with dark hair. Like, why is that bad? Why is that bad? Why couldn't we have cast an actress that was Caucasian with dark hair? Like, what's the big whoop? And by the way, the actress that's playing Snow White, she ain't that cute. And the whole point is that Snow White's supposed to be the fairest of them all, right? So the queen is played by Gal Gadot, who is stunningly gorgeous, this Israeli actress. And basically everyone on X and YouTube are like, disliking the ratios on these videos they've put out, these trailers they've put out. It's like not going to go well for Disney. They spent like $200 million or something insane on this movie. Obviously tons of CGI. And then also it was crazy is that obviously Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? Well, Peter Dinklage, who is as insufferable as they come. He was in Game of Thrones. He's that little person actor that you know who he is. And he's in this movie and he had a fit. And he was like, no, we cannot have dwarves. That is like totally offensive to little people. It's like, well, hang on a minute. Like these little people, these actors, you could give them jobs, right? You can make them part of the show because it's the whole point is that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So no, they got rid of that. And only Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage gets to be a little person and the head dwarf, I guess. But he's like, no, we have to make them magical creatures. Whatever. So stupid. But the reason this is getting just ripped apart is because this Rachel Ziegler chick who plays Snow White, inexplicably, is she, after the election, she wrote these X posts. And she, again, they haven't gotten the memo. They haven't figured it out quite yet that we're all done here. And she put out these tweets basically saying that she wishes that the Donald Trump voters have no peace and F Donald Trump and all this stuff, right? Because she's so entitled, and she's a Gen Zer. And look, it's like the millennials. Millennials are either totally based or totally just worthless. Same with Gen Z. She's on the latter part of Gen Z, completely worthless, and thinks that people care about her opinions about politics. It's like, honey, you're almost single-handedly tanking Snow White. Like, I know Disney's really to blame for tanking Snow White because they're taking a beloved story and they're just completely wokeifying it and making it insufferable. And it's like, her whole thing is like, she doesn't need the prince. She doesn't need a man to save her. She's a strong, independent woman. That crap. So they're completely changing the whole thing of Snow White. And basically everyone commenting on this thing is like, can the Queen please win and save us from this Snow White? Like, can she please be the winner here? Because that's how bad it is. So look for Disney. I mean, they won't learn their lesson. They have more money than God, and they're run by Lucasfilm, which is an offshoot of Disney's, run by the insufferable Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, they're just hell bent on destroying it, I guess. But let me give you a palate cleanser to all that. People that seem to have, I don't know, woken up a little bit. Oddly enough, wildly enough, Apple. Okay? Now, I am an Apple person because math is not my forte. Technology is not my forte. And I think Android people are more like techie people. I don't know. I guess. I'm like, I think Apple is such a great product. It gives a product that people want, that they can use. And, even though with the updates, I never know half of the things that happen, but I'm always amused when I see a new emoji or a new little feature that the text does with the big writing or something that Apple comes out with. Anyway, but obviously, they're run by Silicon Valley leftists. But even they are starting to get the clue. Even they are starting to be like, oh, I think people are sick of this. So Apple put out this ad the other day, and it is such a juxtaposition to what Jaguar put out the week before, and I will talk about the Jaguar ad in a sec. Apple ad they have a new product, and I don't know if it's the regular AirPods or if it's just a feature of the AirPods now, like it's some new product or some new software, I don't know. But basically it helps the hearing impaired to be able to hear. And it's the setup of the ad was and y'all, listen to this too. It's a white heterosexual family, a nuclear family. I mean, Fanny bar the door. And, it's like, what's next? Are you going to put a cross in the ad? Like, okay, I'm here for it. But they showed like a normal family, right? A normal family, 2 parents, a kid. The little girl's opening up a guitar for Christmas, and her dad is hearing things in like muffled tones because he can't hear it. And his daughter's starting to play the guitar, and his wife hands him a set of AirPods, and she says, John, listen to this. And he puts them in, and he's able to hear his daughter play Our House by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. You guys, bring the Kleenex. I cried. I cried. It is an extremely well done ad. And it basically, the comments on X were universally praising this. And like, thank you, Apple, for, no DEI stuff. Like, thank you for not like, and again, I don't care if someone is in an interracial couple. That's not the point. It's like, every ad is like, oh, it's an interracial couple. Like, that's not as common as people think. I mean, I get that you're trying to social engineer us into that way, but sometimes it really is birds of a feather. Like, that's just kind of the way human beings are by nature. Not to say don't be in an interracial couple, but, people like what they like. Like, it's okay. But universally praised, okay? Now, let's juxtapose that with the absolute garbage that Jaguar foisted upon us last week. Now, Jaguar's an English company, and over in the UK, they're clinging to the woke. It hasn't quite reached across the pond yet that we're all done here. Jaguar put out this ad, this dystopian, Clockwork Orangey, like, transgender, men in dresses, just fat ladies, like, just garbage. And people are like, what is this even an ad for? Like, there's not even a car in the ad. And so, of course, we come to find out that the guy that is in charge of this monstrosity is some, gay guy that wears mesh shirts when he's talking to large groups of people. And he's like, we're just getting ready to break the mold here at Jaguar. It's like, no, you're not. You're boring. You're boring. You do everything. You do all the same things. Like, it's not interesting. So, no, you're not breaking the mold. You're just doing the exact same thing that all other corporations have done for like the last 10 years. And we're so done and we're so sick of it. So if you go look on the X posts about the Jaguar ad, I mean, just roasted. All right. And look, you can say what you will about what Elon has done to X. And of course, all the leftists are taking their dollies and going over to Blue Sky, which I highly recommend going on Blue Sky and making an account and just tormenting these people, like being like, nope, we're still going to mess with you, even though you're on Blue Sky. But they're in these, they like to be in their own little echo chambers. And so say what you will about Elon taking over Twitter. Basically what he did is he unblocked all these people. He unblocked the conservatives so we could actually speak also. And the left they think that it's like a conservative right-wing platform. It's like, no, it's a free speech platform. I know it's anathema to you people, but it really does show that we're the majority now, and they cannot handle it. They cannot deal. So anyway, that was a lovely palate cleanser from Apple, and I really hope that they continue this because the response to it was great. I hope other advertisers pull their heads out of their butts and understand that we're done. In the next segment, I'm going to start Hunter Biden because look, I was on Isaiah's show on Tuesday night, okay? And I was like, let's put it this way. I was waiting for this call. I'm like, when are they going to do the Hunter Biden pardon? Because I want in on that. And at first I was like, why haven't they called me? And I'm like, oh, probably because they don't want to hear what I'm going to be lobbing and saying. But they did call, and we did it last night. And it is wild to me. There was a panelist on with me, a guy named Todd, nice guy. But, he's coming at me real hard and whatever, trying to make interesting TV. And it's wild to me, the things that the left believes that are true. It's wild. And I think that what we're going to come to find out as the exposure and the awakening continues is that, there's going to be some people that admit they were wrong and they were lied to, and they can acknowledge that and have the humility to say, yeah, I was wrong. But there's going to be others who just won't do it. And it's going to be interesting to see. So when we get back, I'm going to try and shoehorn in Hunter Biden and Kash Patel in the last segment. You're listening to the Angela Box Show. Be right back.
It's the Box that rocks with Angela Box at AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Okay, so to no one's surprise, except, I guess, leftists, Joe Biden pardoned his son Hunter. He didn't just pardon him for the crimes he was convicted for, which, by the way, Merrick Garland's DOJ prosecuted those. Even Merrick Garland is like, okay, this is pretty egregious. These gun charges he wrote down that I've never used drugs, and he had possession of a firearm when he was snorting cocaine off hookers' backsides. It was like, okay, we got to do it. And then also remember what he did with this gun. Threw it in a dumpster in the back of a middle school, and he had his girlfriend, his dead brother's widow, Hallie Biden, go retrieve it for him. I mean, it was so much. Also, they got him on some tax charges. And remember what Merrick Garland's DOJ tried to do to benefit Hunter Biden with this plea deal they tried to put forward. And basically the plea deal was that Hunter would admit to the gun charge and the tax evasion. But in the plea deal, it said that he was completely exempt from any FARA violations or anything to do with the Ukraine money laundering that his family was involved in. And when the judge got a look at that, and when people started to make a stink about it on social media, the judge was like, whoa. This is a ridiculous plea bargain. This is no, you can't do this. So they had to go back to square one, and then Hunter Biden was like, well, I'm not going to plead guilty then, because he's no dummy. He knew that his trial was going to be in Washington, D.C. He was like, oh, no one's going to convict me here. And normally he would be correct, but I guess the evidence was just overwhelming. And they're like, okay, we got to convict this guy for something. Anyway, so Joe Biden pardons him. And, you know, the people that are surprised by this, when the guy, like, lied to them for months, and we now come to find out that he had told aides privately, he's like, of course I'm going to pardon him. I'm like, look, those of us who have a brain knew this was going to happen. Like, duh, of course he's going to pardon his criminal son. The same people that are surprised by this, that the godfather of a crime family would pardon the bagman crackhead son of said family, are the same people that are like, where are those 20 million Biden votes that Kamala Harris didn't get? How come she only got 61 million votes and Joe Biden got 81 million votes? Where'd they go? Did 20 million Democrats? No, 20 million Democrats didn't sit out. They invented those votes. But these people are not bright, and they're not going to have any kind of wherewithal to, like, go, maybe I should look into what Trump was saying about the election of 2020. Maybe I should look into all the things that everyone was talking about, like, shutting down everything down at 10:30 at night. And then after they kicked all the Republicans out, they carted in all these ballots and dropped them in the dead of night. 98% of them went for Joe Biden. The ballot harvesting, the ballot mules, the algorithms with the Voldemort machines, all the things. Like, you would think maybe they would start asking questions, but they don't, because they're not curious. They're just ideological knee-jerk leftists. So when I was debating last night on Isaiah's show, and obviously you're going to hear this on Saturday, so sorry. Last night was Tuesday, so I was on Tuesday night. I was shocked at some of the panelists. This one guy was like, Trump's a threat to democracy, and January 6th, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, just all the things. And I was like, dude, the FBI set up January 6th. I think what people are, there's going to be such a reckoning and a rude awakening for these people that have been lied to for so many years, these many years, by the media, and the media is obviously complicit in this. They're either going to have the humility to admit they were wrong, or they're just going to go down with the ship. Like, I don't care. Either way is fine with me. Like, the truth is the truth is the truth. It's going to come out. And Joe Biden giving Hunter Biden this pardon that goes back 10 years, basically is an admission that, we did some criminal stuff here. Now, the reason that we've been giving so much money to Ukraine, and this is what people have to understand too, is that Obama and the CIA basically did a coup in 2014, toppled the administration there, and then brought in the people that they thought they could work with, and they basically started using Ukraine as a money laundering hub. That's why all of these politicians' sons got to sit on boards of energy companies. And it wasn't just Hunter Biden. It was also Nancy Pelosi's kid. It was also Mitt Romney's son. I mean, like, it's a bipartisan thing. It's really, you can tell who's corrupt by how they all stick together. I mean, obviously, Mitt Romney hates Donald Trump. Duh. John McCain hated Donald Trump. John McCain is the guy that basically handed over the Steele dossier to someone in a London airport. It was like, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, do with this as you see fit. So the fact that he's giving a blanket pardon for the last 10 years of criminal activity is, I mean, again, not surprising. Here's the deal, leftists. There are no statute of limitations for treason, and you cannot preemptively pardon anybody, period. So the left is now basically admitting that all of these people that have been tormenting and torturing Trump and the American people for simply asking questions or questioning the narrative, and they're thrown in jail for, until the end of time, January 6th protesters, etc. They're now saying that Joe Biden needs to preemptively pardon people like Jack Smith and Adam Schiff and God knows who else, James Comey and John Brennan, all these people. And it's like, why? If you didn't commit a crime, you don't have anything to worry about. Like, this is what I think people, and this is why they're having a meltdown over Kash Patel. Because Kash Patel, as FBI director, which I think it was so just chef's kiss that Trump released that Kash was going to be the FBI director during Thanksgiving weekend. I mean, it was like a perfect, like, and scene. Here he is. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Kash Patel is the guy that worked with Devin Nunes to expose the Trump Russia collusion hoax, Crossfire Hurricane, and a number of other things. And he has said in many, many interviews that one of his, what the FBI should be doing, they should release the Epstein client list because they're sitting on it. They should release the Diddy list because they're sitting on it. They should release what happened to JFK because they're sitting on it. Release everything. Oh, and by the way, let's talk about 9/11 too. So that is the kind of F around and find out that Kash Patel will bring. And that's why they're so panicked about him. It's not that he doesn't have the experience. Like, they don't care if anyone has experience. They put Pete Buttigieg as Secretary of Transportation. How'd that work out? They put Javier Becerra, who's never had anything to do with Health and Human Services, as the head of Health and Human Services. They put a biological man, a mentally ill, fat man, as Deputy Director of Health and Human Services. Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, so, this is all connected, obviously. And they think that the media is like, oh, Joe Biden lied to us. How did this happen? Joe Biden is amazing. He's so moral. He's a good Catholic. I said this, I don't know if I said it last week or not, but look, Joe Biden's going to die soon, all right? He has a decision to make. Like, at this point, it would seem that he's going full throttle. He's like, Joe Biden's going to hell, all right? And I am not one of these Christians that believes, and maybe this doesn't make me a real Christian, I don't know, but, people are like, if you just say you believe in Jesus Christ, like everything is good and you're going to heaven. I'm sorry, but if you're literally a criminal your entire life and you've had people killed and you've done really rotten, disgusting things to innocent people, you just think that you can go, oh, I believe in Jesus Christ as my personal savior, and that's just all wiped away. Like, I don't know. I'm not God. I'm not saying I know what happens when we die, but I don't know, man. Like, I feel like this guy's going to hell. And I feel like the only way that he could save his soul is to start talking and to start saying, here's what Obama did, here's what Clinton did, here's da-da-da-da-da. Because Joe Biden is the weak link in this chain. He's the dumb one. He's the useful idiot in this whole deep state scenario. Clinton, Obama, Clapper, Comey, Brennan, these are the cagey, smart, really, truly evil ones. Joe Biden's just a grifter. I mean, I'm not saying he's not evil. He's definitely evil, but he's not to the level of evil of an Obama who set this whole thing up. So, they don't want Kash Patel looking into any of this. That's why Joe Biden gave his son this blanket pardon. Oh, and P.S., I mean, by the time this airs, he could have already pardoned the rest of his family. Because obviously, they were all involved in this. They were all involved in the Biden crime family. And it was wild to me when I said Biden crime family on the show. So many pearls clutched. Oh, you called Joe Biden a godfather of a crime family? Yes, I did. He's a cagey old criminal. So I think that if Kash Patel can get through, I think here's what Trump's thinking is. He's flushing out the bad GOP people, the Mitch McConnells, the Susan Collins, the Lisa Murkowskis, whoever. And I joked around. I was like, I didn't know that Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins touched kids or like touching children, because they're like going to the mat for all of Biden's last minute judicial nominees. I mean, obviously I'm joking. I don't think they really, have a pedophile problem. I mean, I don't know. They're doing the most to make sure that Trump doesn't get his nominees. So that's weird, right? Anyway, I think that this is a way to flush them all out. And Trump can come in there and be like, okay, you know what? We're just going to adjourn the Congress, and I'm going to put my people in recess appointments. That's it. Done. Because, don't they always say that presidents deserve to have the cabinet of their choice? And, if they're all just incompetent boobs, they're just going to, flail out and flame out anyway. And that just makes Trump look bad, and that just makes Republicans look bad. So why wouldn't they want these incompetent boobs in there to make Trump look bad? That's the point. They're not incompetent boobs, and these people know it. These people are scared because justice is coming. And it's not retribution. It's not vengeance. It's justice. And the American people are getting ready to have the shock of their lives when they find out what our government's really been up to. All right, that is my time, ladies and gentlemen. You've been listening to The Angela Box Show. I'll see you next week. Until next time, everybody, keep kicking ass and taking names. Peace!